What's up, everybody?
Yeah. Good evening.
We're back in studio.
Back in studio. I still may cough my way through this one, but I'm here.
Yeah, you've been hacking a little bit over there.
Yeah. And I'm hoping the whiskey will help soothe the cough.
Some of Grandpa's old cough medicine over there.
That's right. So, what are you drinking?
Man, I actually am kind of out of my routine tonight with this. So we did the little harvest.
Scotch?
No, it is bourbon, but it's one that I can honestly say I've never drank very much of. I used to not like it, but we did the little farm get together last weekend whenever I was talking about it.
Yeah.
I bought some Jim Beam because I was like, I bought a bottle of Elijah Craig, which I really like.
Yeah.
And then I said, well, my dad's there. Your dad came. I was like, some of them, they might like some of the, what I used to consider kind of the lamer bourbons, like more mixing bourbon. And so I bought a bottle of Jim Beam, but I bought the Devil's Cut.
Yeah.
Man, it is actually pretty good. Have you ever drank it much?
Yeah, I've got some Devil's Cut or the Jim Beam Black. I think is because they got the regular white label.
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
I used to not, which I may not enjoy Jim Beam regular, but I'm actually enjoying this Devil's Cut. It's kind of like George Dickel. I don't like it very much. Dad likes it.
I'll drink the white label Dickel.
I got him the blue one year for Christmas.
Yeah.
But I think the white is usually kind of his standard, but he mixes all of his.
Yeah. Of my Tennessee whiskeys, I definitely prefer George to Jack.
Yeah, I don't like Jack Daniels. Now, Jim Beam, that's Kentucky, I'm assuming. Yeah.
Jim is Kentucky.
But yeah, this is the Devil's Cut over ice. One thing I do like about it is lower proof, so I can drink more of it.
Yeah. Volume drinker.
Yes, I can actually drink more because my high proof stuff, I got to kind of tone it down a little bit.
Yeah.
But speaking of your coughing, Marcy, I've kind of made her become a bourbon woman.
Yeah.
She likes it, but she's had a cough, and I've been making her toddies.
Yeah. We like some tea and honey and lemon.
Bourbon, I do about a shot of bourbon.
Yeah.
And I use my Booker's, which is like 120 proof. And I want to like basically knock her out because that's what she's going for. So I do about a shot of bourbon. I do probably a teaspoon of honey, maybe a little more, about a little less than a teaspoon of lemon juice.
Yeah.
And then I put a little hot water in there, as hot as I can. And then I poke it in the microwave for about 10 seconds.
Yeah.
You stir it all up. So it's got the warmth is good for your throat.
I do that, but I'll instead of just the hot water, I'll make like hot tea.
That'd be pretty good, yeah. But and I'm always like, chug it. And, oh man, it knocks her out. Like she has it and she goes to bed. So
yeah.
I'm a believer in the toddies, man.
I've been shooting some damn just cough syrup. just the nighttime version of the cough syrup. Ah, man. I still am not myself. Like
really?
Like this round of COVID wasn't near as bad as last, but
yeah, for people that didn't know, Bobby Lee did have the COVID.
Yeah, I didn't know if I actually mentioned that last week. It was the old SARS-CoV-2, according to multiple home tests that I took. And I made my wife take one because I was like, I wonder if these things are just always positive.
Yeah.
She took one and it was negative. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
This probably really is. But and I hadn't run a fever in like nearly a week now. But it's just like, man, I was like every day at the end of the day, I'm just like, I am spent.
Yeah.
Like just fatigued. I don't know. But
that was the most annoying thing when I've had COVID is you just feel weird. Takes you a little while to feel.
I didn't lose my taste or my smell or any of that this go around. It was just much milder. Which I was talking to somebody today. They're like, yeah, apparently now it is just like a nasty cold, more or less. I felt like crap for about 2 days. Or like I was running a fever. If I wasn't taking, Tylenol or Advil, I would run a fever. So
did you pull a Doc Holliday on your wife? Were you like, I may not have been as sick as I appeared?
Man, no, I think it's probably the opposite. Last Wednesday, I went to bed on Tuesday night, didn't feel good. Wednesday I woke up and I was taking cows to the sale barn, come hell or high water. Like,
yeah. Is that when I saw you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I busted my ass on Wednesday. Like, I hauled cows to the sale barn, got home, hauled those 2 bulls from here to my house to put on feed. Well, then because I had your dad and Brock, they're like, hey, you want to get some corn? I was like, hell yeah. Let's just keep going. And so I just kept rolling. And I went to bed that night, which I knew that was probably what it was. And I was keeping my distance from everybody. You know, was outdoors all day. And so, but I knew Thursday was like, I ain't gonna be able to go to work. But man, I got up and did my chores and whatnot that I had to do. And I actually went by the office because I had a couple of loose ends I had to tie up real quick. And I got in and got out of there before we even opened up. And then I came back home and I slept from probably 9 to 1.
Really?
Like, I just felt like crap.
Yeah.
Got up and didn't like my afternoon chores and whatnot. And so my mom texted me. She's like, I hope you're not messing with them cows. I was like there are certain things, you know, I have about an hour's worth of chores every morning, every evening.
You got to do.
No matter what.
Yeah. I mean, come hell or high water.
Yeah. Like I don't know what you expect me to say.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a sign that I've and that did make me think, I'm like, man, if I ever did just get like seriously ill, like, yeah, I guess we just have to sell a bunch of stuff. It'd be a fire sale. Like, I was like, maybe I need to scale back on what all I've got going on. Especially the stuff that really doesn't make me much money. But yeah, and then by Friday, I hauled cows again. I hauled some heifers. I sold 10 heifers.
Yeah. All right.
And then I sold my truck this week.
You were telling me that. So,
yeah. And then just the last 24 hours, my phone is blowing up with people interested in the remaining 13 heifers.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that is. I've had the full group listed for sale for forever. And I don't know if it was more intimidating because it was a bigger group. You know, it was 23 of them. Because I had put on the ad like I wanted to keep them all together. And obviously I didn't. I sold just 10. But I've got like 3 or 4 people. I can't keep up with all of them that are messaging me. I'm like, all right, was this the guy I've already sent videos to or not? You know,
that's good. That's good.
I love and a couple of them sound pretty serious. I'm like, yeah, come buy those suckers. So if one of y'all's listening that's wanting to buy them, you better move on them because there's competition now. Might do a bid more. Yeah,
you might. Well, that's what I got to come back to that because I got something to add. But real quick, you guys need to go to agzaga.com. We're gearing up for Christmas. They got all the sales running. And like we said before, if you use our code TALKDIRT, all caps, all one word, you get 10% off and free shipping. So like we double whammy.
I have to be sure my kids don't listen to this episode with me because we stocked up last week, which my son's birthday was yesterday as we're sitting here recording.
Okay.
So he already made out like a bandit to some degree. Santa Claus might have some. Might have had part of that order as well though. So he just keeps his eyes out. But you don't get into a bid more on Agzaga.
No.
You go on there, the prices are already very a lot of stuff's already on sale. And like Logan said, use the discount code that knocks another 10% off and free shipping just right now. And they ship fast. I'm trying to even remember what day I put that order in. It was Thursday or Friday of last week because it was when I was sick. My wife's like, you ain't doing nothing else. Order them.
Christmas shop.
And it came in on, I think, Monday of this week. Yeah, because it was here. Yeah, because we gave him a couple of the tractors Tuesday morning for his birthday. So, yeah, it came in on Monday.
Yeah.
Very fast shipping. But, yeah, and it's free. So
there you go. Use it. Check it out. Hey, and also hit that like button, hit subscribe. I do got to apologize. Some people are probably wondering, like, where last week's video episode is. And with this recording remote, that's just on me. Maybe I'll get it up there at some point. It might come up after this episode.
Yeah, Logan usually gets the audio up, and I usually do the YouTube.
Yeah.
And, because I wasn't here,
and I have dropped the ball on it. But you might see it up there. But what I was going to say, and please leave us a rating and a review. We always appreciate that. But I got so Tuesday, the black truck is Ohio bound, the Peterbilt.
So it left on Tuesday or next Tuesday?
This coming Tuesday. It's coming. Dude's coming to pick it up, and they're going to haul it to Ohio. Originally, he was like, I might come and drive it. And he said, man, as sure as I do, it'll break down somewhere, which I appreciated his realism. Like, I mean, and it might not have. You might have drove the thing to Ohio and it'd been solid, but like kind of the same boat you saw with the guy in Texas.
Well, and the guy that came and bought my truck was from Missouri.
Did he drive it?
About probably a solid 4 hours away, and maybe 5. I have to look up exactly where they were. And I mean, and look, he's like, would you hesitate to drive it? And I was like, look, man, I can tell you the last time it broke down on me. It was like it was last January, because we were getting ready to go duck hunting. We were leaving later that afternoon to go out of town to duck hunt when it broke down. The fuel pump went out.
Yeah.
And I mean, I probably I don't put a lot of miles on that truck. I put 5,000-6,000 miles on it since then. So yeah, you could drive across the country then without it breaking down.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm also telling you, the reason I'm getting rid of this truck is because I'm looking to upgrade to something newer,
more reliable,
so that I'm not hesitant to get on the interstate with it. And, drive 200 miles. Because sometimes we don't ever go 200, but it's oftentimes we're hauling cows 100, maybe 150 miles to auction, and it's like I don't want to hesitate to do that. So, but did I also tell you? I'd found the first truck that I wanted to buy when I sold mine, and it sold a couple weeks ago.
You told me about that one,
because I was naive with the Facebook thing. I was like, all these people want to buy my truck. It's sold basically now. Well, then I found another one, and I knew that guy was coming to get that truck. I was like 99% certain he was going to buy it. So the night before, I was like looking at one online, and so I went ahead and did like the internet inquiry. Yeah. Well, they called me the next morning, and I purposely didn't answer it because he hadn't officially gotten here to buy that truck. Well, as soon as he wrote me the check and he was leaving, pulling out my driveway with it, I called the guy back. He's like, man, let me stop you right there.
They sold it.
We sold it this morning. I was like, you kidding me?
Yeah.
And because those trucks are a little bit of a kind of a white elephant. Like they're with that particular bed. I was
gonna say the bed especially.
Yeah, there's not a lot in this immediate area, which I'm willing to travel to get one. And, but with I want one used, and because we don't find many new. I want one somebody's already got the bed on it and whatnot. Which I have thought about that. I was like, well, but I really don't want to spend the money on new one either. The beds alone are like 13 to 15 grand. So,
I'm sure.
Finding one that doesn't have a ton of miles on it is my other thing. Or you find some and they're practically brand new and they want $90,000 for them.
Prices are stupid.
I'm like, nah, I can't do that. Like I ain't spending that much on a truck.
No, I'm with you. I mean, and that's how that Ram I bought, it's a 4,500. See, I went from a 1-ton because I needed a heavier one for the water trailer. Right. Because pulling that, like my 1-ton, I had a Duramax 1-ton. It would pull it great, but it's stopping it that gets hairy. Yeah. And like if you had to, I mean, that was the time, and I don't know if Mr. Cookie.
There brakes on those trailers?
No.
Yeah.
No. And that's if Mr. Cookie, I don't know if he listens, but it's funny, man. He scared the shit out of me one day. He was helping me when we were spraying, and we're on Drummond's Road. We had just turned off of Munford Gilt Edge past Nafy's, and it's got a very hard S curve. And he's talking to me, and he's driving it. And we're in the Ram at this point. Like I've done traded to this Ram, and this got a rear end out of a dump truck in it, basically. And I shouldn't have been talking to him because I learned that he's not good multitasker with talking and driving. Well, I'm talking to him, and he's doing like 30 and 35. Well, we're coming up, when I say a hard S-curve, I mean, I slow down to like 15 or 20 in my pickup truck with nothing behind me. And we're pulling about, with the tanks and everything loaded, I bet we had 20,000 pounds behind this truck. And we're doing like 35 miles an hour. And I finally I go, hey, and he's like, oh, and he stomps the brakes, and you hear the truck, it just went, like it was like skirting the tires. And I said, damn, like, and he slowed down enough, and he was like, damn, Logan. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he goes, I don't know, you were distracting me. And I said, dude, we're about because I think I had like just traded for this truck. And I'm like, you're about to put us in this person's living room. Cause basically it's a house.
Oh, there's houses like right. I don't even know which direction you're coming, but it didn't matter.
No,
like the houses are basically
everywhere
in the road right there.
Yeah, and so yes, I wanted one that would stop it. Luckily, it did stop it, but I mean, we like skirted on the road and it scared the hell out of me. But anyways, so that's why I went to the 4500. But now it had like I bought it with 100 and it's got 110,000 miles on it. But it's a 2015 or something.
Pretty much what I've told now 2 different dealers I've talked to is like 100,000 miles or less. And like if they find one with 125, price is right, I'll move on it.
Yeah, that's how it was.
I won't put 10,000 miles a year on this truck.
Yeah. I haven't moved mine. I mean, I moved it actually the other day, but it'll sit this time of year. It might sit 4 days a week. And when I do drive it, I bet I don't drive the thing 80 miles a day.
Oh, and I don't come close to that. My main thing is taking hay up the road to my other group of cows, and it's like 4.5 miles.
Yeah.
One way,
Yeah.
You might say 10 miles round trip. And I mean, I drive to town some too, and I would use it to haul cows, to sale barn and stuff like that. But that's, only a few times a year kind of thing.
Yeah.
To the feed store and stuff like that, especially if I got a newer one with a few more creature comforts and just more reliable.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I hauled hay to the cows yesterday. That was when anybody's watched the YouTube. Yeah. I was like, there's a couple of trucks. There's one that's exactly what I want, but it's pretty much the exact truck I just traded. It's just like 20 years newer.
Yeah.
But I really want to go to a crew cab.
Oh, is it like an extended cab?
I mean, it's basically that exact truck.
Yeah.
20 years newer and 100,000 less miles.
Yeah. If you and the wife want to do some cracking while you're out putting out hay, you need that extra crew cab back there.
Yeah. That was exactly her thing. She was like, you can't get just an extended cab.
She's like, you can't crack in the extended cab. Yeah, good.
Yeah. Anybody who knows my wife
knows that is the truest thing we've just said.
She could not care less.
Well,
about the truck or having relations.
Oh, come on.
But yeah, there's one at one of the dealers. He's like, man, I got this one. And I'm like, man, I was like, I know sure as I get that one, I'm a year from now and be like, God dang it, these kids and everything.
I'm with you, dude. I'm a believer in a crew cab.
But it's nice. It's clean. It's everything. Man, if just somehow I could
extend
an extended cab into our crew cab, I would have already gone and gotten it.
Well, the
price is right, everything.
Old red tractor, I'm doing something a little different with that tractor.
I know you had it for sale.
Yeah, I put it up. It's going into Big Iron auction.
Okay.
So I've had it up for sale, and the Big Iron guy, now I've never bought anything on Big Iron. I've used Auction Time.
Yeah.
And I think you've used Auction Time as well. Or did you use Big Iron?
So I actually bought that truck that I just sold on Auction Time.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Well, that's all I had ever used was Auction Time. Well, Big Iron, one of their reps called me from my listing of the tractor. And he was like, man, let me put this thing up in an auction. And I said, dude, I'm just scared of it. And because there is no reserve. Like, that's what makes me nervous.
Well,
and you actually, I think, had mentioned, didn't somebody tell you?
Well, I had a company that wanted to list my heifers, and I did list them on their website.
Yeah.
And it's actually, I'm pretty sure, the same company that runs Auction Time and all that. But it's their livestock side. They're like, man, we really don't, you can't put a reserve on them. Like, you don't get hardly any interest. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what he said. He was like, he said, we don't do reserve. And he said, because you get more money without a reserve. And I was like, dang. And he said,
well, and I'll admit, when I'm looking at something there's a reserve on it, I'm like, oh, well, shit. Like, I ain't even, because when you start bidding on something, in an auction, you're thinking, I'm gonna steal this thing.
Especially on Gunbroker. If you get on Gunbroker and it's a reserve, you're like, well, I'm just pissing in the wind.
Well, Gunbroker nowadays, it's like everything's just buy it now. Price.
It is. Yeah.
There's no auctions.
No. But that's what he did. He told me, he told me their average amount, because he was like, this is he was like, the tractor, he said, this is a really desirable tractor. He said, a lot of guys love these. He said, this guy used to farm. He's from Arkansas. They farmed. He said, when they got out, he was like, we used Big Iron, and that's who handled our deal. But he said, we ran some 7140s, and he was like, they're damn good tractors. And he told me pretty much the low end of what they've gotten and the high end of what they got. And I was like, I'd be happy with either one. So, but I mean, you take that gamble of somebody getting it for like 20 grand, nobody bidding on it. And that's what I told Marcy. I was like, I'm going to get someone put it on there on the auction. She's like, that's fine. And so it is funny. I have now signed with Big Iron for them to put it up, and I've had like 3 phone calls. Like, I was having like no interaction about this tractor, but since it is now locked into going into the auction. There's no backing out.
Well, yeah, just tell them, hey, get on there and bid.
Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, you can bid on it. And I guess that's what I'll call and tell them, because I've had 3 people call me.
Well, that's funny. There's a truck on auction time that I think the auction's next weekend. Which I'm like, great. We're taking a trip for my wife's birthday.
Oh, does it get some aftermarket wheels?
I don't know if it does or not.
I mean, it's the wrong brand, but the wheels look all right.
But it's about the right truck I want. Mileage wise, the setup it's got and everything.
Are those not different wheels?
I don't know. But anyway, I'm like, my wife's gonna be pissed. We're sitting there like on a little weekend getaway for her birthday, and I'm like, sitting there, like, I got to keep watching this auction to see when this truck's coming up. And
I bought the Peterbilt when we were on a family vacation in Fall Creek Falls. We were hiking up to Fall Creek Falls, and I would be like, I was having to secretively pull my phone out because I was bidding on it online. Yeah. And so we were like, actually,
a few more miles than I want, but the price is right.
Oh yeah. Well, we were at Fall Creek Falls, like we had hiked up to it, and I was like over here, and I actually bought the truck.
Like a degenerate gambler.
Yes, and I did. I bought the truck while we were at the waterfall.
Well, that's the thing. If I buy this one on this auction, it is in Iowa.
Well, we'll go get it, and we'll go by Valcourts and see Scott and the crew and check out the shop and get it.
If somebody wanted to do a road trip with me, I would be willing, but I would imagine if I buy this one, I'm going to be immediately in contact with some kind of shipping company.
I mean, if you want to go see Valcourts and Firearms and we can make a road trip,
we shall see. I'm not opposed to it.
Well, you got a question.
Yeah. So I did Marcus, long-time listener.
You had their hat on like a couple episodes ago.
His MTM Farms.
I was jealous of that hat, by the way.
Yeah, really nice hat. If I wasn't wearing my new Hurricane Creek Farms hat, I would be wearing his.
You've already got it dirty.
This one?
Yeah.
Am I really?
Yeah, look at it. It looks like some little dirt on there, isn't it?
It might be. It's like literally.
Yeah, see?
Well, I've been feeding cows and whatnot. Literally, I put this hat on for the first time today. Like I had to take the sticker off of it earlier. But hey, I'm a real farmer.
There you go.
My hats get dirty.
There you go.
Yeah, he wrote in, and he had saying, because he was watching my YouTube video, I guess I just put it up today. So he's a good.
That's what you like,
exactly
man.
What we like. He's listening to the podcast, he's watching the YouTube, everything. Yep. Instagram. But yeah, he actually reached out to me on Instagram, said he was asking, went and got my Prolix, my liquid protein feed that we put out for the cows this time of year.
Yeah.
It was asking, why do we prefer it, or do we prefer it versus the tubs? Just anybody with cows probably knows what we're talking about. Just the poured tubs that, they're like 200, 250 pounds. And like I told him, really, I think both are, I consider them basically equal in terms of the quality of what you're getting. I think it is a little cheaper when you go to the liquid feed, mainly just because you're buying a more bulk. Yeah. Like that. I went and filled up my tote yesterday for the last time. If you watch the video, you'll see why. About 250 gallons worth versus those tubs are like, well, they're like 200 pounds and they hold, if you were just going volume by volume, they're about 20 gallons.
Yeah. I've never done anything with the liquid.
It's a pain in the butt. I mean, that's the reason.
I'm sitting here imagining, because I'm assuming you have to go out and fill up the things.
Well, again, you need to watch my YouTube video from
the latest,
and see what. All
right, I'll get on there.
See what problems I run into.
Yeah, it sounds like a pain in the ass versus just putting a tub in a tractor.
I got one of those big, and it's similar. And I need another one now because I tore one up. It's like I don't know. Yeah, I didn't have mine plumb full, but I had 240 gallons in it. They hold 250 plus gallons.
Yeah.
One of those big plastic totes that sit on a pallet.
Yeah.
But then you get it home. I mean, that it's heavy as hell.
Yeah.
You need to be able to pull out there in the pasture close to it. And if you live near a decent co-op, they'll bring it out to you.
Yeah.
Basically on a trailer, just like your water trailer. I mean, it looks exactly like that.
Gotcha.
With the pump, pumps it out, but it's real thick. I mean, it's like molasses.
So I need to start a mobile delivery of that. Hey, we had a guy that was a buddy of ours that was doing that for a little while.
Well, he still does it, but he hauls it more
in Texas, ain't it?
Yeah, like where it originates from.
Yeah.
But we don't, and some of the co-ops in our general area, but I had to drive about an hour to the closest co-op that actually carries it, and they won't deliver this far away. So anyway, that's what makes it a little bit of a pain in the butt. Because if I just wanted to feed the tubs, I can go to our local store that's 20 minutes away, put those, and of course they can put them in the back of your truck with just a forklift.
Yeah.
You just drive out in the pasture, push them out of the back of the truck. Your cow's got protein supplement, but it's expensive no matter what. Which I was telling him, I was like, man, I don't know how fast they'll consume it, compared to what they would do with tubs. I hadn't ever done a side by side, but the expectation is they go through less dollars of the liquid feed versus the hard.
Really?
Lick tubs.
I would have almost thought the opposite.
Well, and so it's in a lick wheel feeder.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever seen those. So it's fully enclosed, and it's got these wheels. There's one on each side of it that just run all the way to the bottom of it. Mm-hmm. So they have to lick it, and it spins.
Okay.
And there's just a little window where barely the top of the wheel comes out, and
that makes sense.
Are on their sled.
Okay.
They can't just sit there and just stick their head in it like a water trough and slurp it up.
Which is what they can do pretty much. I mean, they're just wearing out a freaking tub, it's like the dry hard, or whatever like hard,
popsicle or know. But so and usually I can fill that thing up one time, and I'm good for until the end of hay feeding season. And we use it just when we're feeding hay.
Really, it lasts that long?
Yeah.
Wow.
I put 240 gallons in it yesterday.
Yeah.
We'll see how long it lasts.
And it's like the consistency of molasses?
Yeah. It's kind of thick and sticky. Yeah. So
when you pump it in there, you got does it have like a little pony motor on your tub or?
So I'm using gravity.
Okay.
So it's just coming out of my tank.
Does it got like a hose coming out the bottom of your delivery tank?
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah. But yeah, like I say, I got to get another tank for next year. Or if I need to fill any more up this year.
We got some old paraquat containers you can use.
That'd be a good idea.
Yeah. I don't know.
Marcus, I think, at least in my mind, I think I'm saving a little money by doing it that way. Otherwise, and which the tubs aren't easy to handle, like one man.
Oh, man, they're heavy as shit, yeah.
Like, you either need two people to help you load one in the back of the
or you just
side-by-side.
need to be a bad son of a bitch.
I do the same thing. I'm sure probably most people do. I just get a tractor and front end loader, then I'll pick it up and set it in the back of my side-by-side.
Man, you just got to put that thing up on your shoulders.
Well,
carry it out there.
I mean, they're about 200 pounds. If
Yeah.
you got another man, you can put it in there.
Yeah.
But 200 pounds, it's light enough that once you get it out in the pasture, if you got it in the back of the truck or the back of the side-by-side, you can.
Yeah. I like to imagine, Brock Lesnar was a farm boy. Oh, that's why I think he bench pressed like 500 and something pounds. And they would talk about when he was on the farm. I can't remember where he's from, maybe Nebraska or somewhere. But he would bench press like kegs when he was a kid, and he was bad to the bone, like an actual wrestler before he became a wrestler. And I'm imagining Brock. I could see him like propping one up on the shoulder. If you can bench press 500.
They're awkward is another one of the things. Like it's not like just picking up 200 pounds.
And it's almost too big around to like bear hug good, like it. Yeah. And it's kind of slick on the sides. Yeah. But that'd be a good workout. Tote them around.
Oh yeah, but yeah, that's our whole idea. And too, like, it's a little bit inconvenient doing it that. But I'm also like, I'm done for the year. Like, the feeder is full. Now, if you're moving them around pastures, you're kind of screwed because now I got a lick wheel feeder, a huge tank with 240 gallons in it. Like it's. Like, no, you ain't moving that thing till they get it empty or near empty.
Yeah. Yeah. That gets me even thinking more. Who is the famous guy? He made there's a story about him. Man, I can't believe I can't think of his name. I'm sure you've heard of it. The dude that he had a calf
And I'm thinking this is like mythology, maybe newer.
Seems like you've talked about this before.
That would pick up the calf every day and carry it.
Yeah, well, you talked about that at one point.
Man, I wish I could remember his name. Because it eventually is a full-grown cow, but his strength is grown with the cow. And I mean, I like to imagine that scenario, but like I got my mom, or not mama cow, but my heifer over here, she's probably, I don't know, she's probably pushing 800 or 900 pounds now.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, man, like I
throw your back out.
Yeah, I don't know that I could go under there and pick her up, tow her around.
I wouldn't recommend trying it.
No, I can't remember my name. If you've been listening to this show consistently, comment below what the guy's name was, because I think I have shared that story before.
I seriously doubt you shared that story with me off air. That's sound. I'm almost certain we had that discussion right here.
Well, I got so I can't remember if it was on our YouTube or in our emails, but I'm thinking it was on our YouTube channel. I had somebody write in on the Talk Dirt page, and they wanted a more in-depth conversation about cover crops, kind of cover crops and the whole planting green thing. And I was trying to find, let's see, no, never mind. Yeah, it's on our, all right, I'm not going to look in here forever, but it was on our YouTube at some point in here. But the cover crop stuff, so I did also, I'll tell you guys kind of what I've put down, how I put it down. I kind of go into all the details on that. So I used 2 different varieties this year, or 2 different mixes. One was oats and radish, and that was because it's a TDA thing. So the
Tennessee Department of Ag.
Yeah. The one thing, the government, they will help pay a little bit. And hey, like we've talked about before.
Got that handout.
Yeah. Well, I think I've even shared on here before when I called USDA office and talked to NRCS, and I was like, I'm actually legitimately interested in the cover crops.
Yeah.
And the guy was like flabbergasted whenever.
Most people really are just trying to farm.
Well, yeah, they're like, what can I do to get the most money? And he's like, all right, and tells them what to do. And I was like, well, what would you actually like recommend? What would be the best mix? And he's like, my God, what? What did you ask?
I've been waiting.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for that question.
My whole life.
My whole career.
Yeah. Like it shocked him. And, but you do get paid.
Which to back up, what is a cover crop?
All right. So cover crop, because I like this because everybody attacks monocropping. When I make a video on Instagram and I'm talking about solar panels or this or that, I always have some dumb shit that's going to come in and say, well, your monocropping is killing us. Well, cover crop, and I'm going to come at it from the row crop sector because guys do it all of them. Even in like the hay world, guys are cover cropping different types. But in the row crop sector, it's basically just once your main cash crop is off, you then have something else growing all the time. And it's never
something you're not going to harvest.
I was going to say, it is not harvested.
By definition, I think that, yeah, the difference between a cash crop and cover crop. Yeah.
Yeah. You are not going to harvest this crop. Now, people do all kinds of different variations and ways to do it. For me, the planting green is kind of what I'm finding is what I really like. Now,
you talking about when you're planting your cover crop?
No. When I plant my crops, instead of just
when you're planting your cash crop into your cover crop,
I like to plant it green. Now, I guess I'll back all the way up. How I would start, I'll give the first 2 way. The TDA, this is for the state of Tennessee, obviously. Tennessee Department of Ag, they pay $35 an acre for the 2 species. That's oats and radish. They'll have a list of them that you can pick from of different mixes. Now, I don't know if I can find it offhand. No, I cannot right here. But there's, I had a picture of their mixes for a little while because I had to send it to my seed guys and get them. All right, here we go. Here's my 5 species. So Tennessee Equip, which is another program, and man, Equip is pretty bad, which your brother used it on the cattle side.
Yep.
And they got all kinds of programs. Again, I can't tell you if you're out of the state of Tennessee about them because I don't know. I'm sure you have a program of some sort like this. I would encourage you to talk to your USDA office and find out, and maybe mention Equip funds and see if they know. But I got a double whammy because I have 1 year left of being a young farmer. You get a 10-year span of when you start. I bought my first farm through the Young Farmer Program in 2015. And I think it actually ends, it was 2015, but I think they started the process in 2014. So mine will end in 2024. So I have 1 year left where I'm still in that. Well, man, Equip pays, dude, I'm going to be honest, the Equip, I think the 5 species was $90-something an acre. Now, it's 5 species. You're having to buy all this seed. Like
you're spending a lot of that money you're not making $90 an acre.
No, you probably, on the Equip side, you might make $30 an acre, maybe. I mean, because flying it on ain't cheap either. So I have mine flown on.
Ask. Yeah. So how do you plan it?
Yeah. So here's what I like to do, and I'll share I said oats and radish on the TDA. I'll tell you my exact mix on my Equip 5 species, which is what all of mine will be this coming year.
And obviously these are winter annual crops.
Yes.
Crops that will grow again during this time of year when your cash crop is not growing.
That's right. Yep. So I did cereal rye, wheat, crimson clover, radish, and hairy vetch. That was my 5 species.
Hairy bitch?
Hairy bitch, man. Yep. You got to have them out there. Keep the bad species out. But they all kind of serve a different purpose. Now, I am not an agronomist in there. I can tell you hairy vetch and crimson clover are both pretty darn good for nitrogen.
Yeah.
Now, the radish, one of the things I like about the radish is I also am a no-till guy. And so I'm not busting the pan hardly ever on there. Some guys are running a Paratill, and I have run that before some.
I've seen a bunch of rippers running.
Yeah.
When I guess it was last week when I hauled those cows to the sale barn, just a little north of here, there were some guys, they were running 2 rippers.
Was it a ripper or a Paratill?
Man,
was it pulling huge chunks up out of the ground, or was it leaving the ground pretty undisturbed?
Fairly undisturbed.
Yeah. I bet you it's a Paratill. Did it have baskets on the back?
I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Definitely had it was the
big huge
tillage.
shanks. Yeah. You know, have you seen the Paratill that they got out here?
I guess I don't know all the terminology. Like
it's got the big huge shanks, but it has these baskets on it, and it has these little blades. If I remember right, it's got these little blades that kind of cut a little trench, and it. You know, an old ripper, man, when you'd pull a ripper, it looks like hell on earth when you got done with it.
Okay, I didn't think they disturbed the ground.
Oh, man, the one I used to pull, like, they have I don't remember how many shank ripper it is, but it would pull chunks out of the ground, is like damn near half the size of this table.
Okay, no, this was probably Paratill on these tractors.
A lot of guys have gone that route because it doesn't disturb the top.
Right, you don't lose all the benefits of no-till.
Yeah.
Even though you're still breaking up the hard pan.
Yeah. And there's a time for that. Like I pulled a Paratill on my farm in Drummond's over here in some spots, but
anywhere where you think you got a lot of compaction. Or you have a lot of compaction.
You can, when you pull soil samples, if you have crazy high levels of like magnesium in an area, it's generally due to like high levels of compaction. And a lot of guys will go in and Paratill those areas. So I like the radish because it puts out a big fruit, basically, or root, I guess is what it would be, and runs down. And sometimes you can actually bust the hard pan with the radish. So the crimson clover, again, nitrogen builder, and I like it because it's pretty. I love seeing it.
I've got an enormous amount of crimson clover on the last farm we bought.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course it's an annual, but when it blooms, it goes to seed every year. It reseeds itself. Oh yeah, those hillsides.
Oh, they're pretty.
Like March and April. Oh yeah, beautiful.
It is. I mean, it looks like people.
Probably April. It's always like during turkey season.
Yeah, they're picture worthy.
Oh yeah, yeah. But
This is the first year I've done hairy vetch. And I know hairy vetch is one you got to be a little careful with because it can get out of hand. Yeah. And so I'm going to have to see my plan moving into this coming year. I plan to plant a lot of very early beans. I'm actually going to try to plant some beans in March.
February.
Yeah. If the weather permits, I'm going to try to go pretty early into March. Yeah. But it's usually so wet in the spring. It'll just depend on the weather. But I want to push the envelope. Is it an El Nino year?
Yeah. You know what El Nino is Spanish?
For 9?
For the Nino.
the Nino. The Nino. That was like
Chris Farley.
What is that one from?
It's Saturday Night Live. It's like El Nino is Spanish for the Nino.
I can definitely hear that. Yeah, nice to say that. What is Nino? Doesn't it mean like 9?
Little boy.
Oh, the little
La Nina, I believe, is just little.
Who names these years?
Well, those are just the two patterns. Is either La Nina or El Nino.
What's La Nina, little girl?
Yeah, La Nina is a little girl, and we've been in La Nina for I don't know, maybe even several years. But it has all to do with the trade winds. I watch too many of those damn long range forecasts. Shout out to the Nutrient Ag forecast with Eric Snodgrass.
So it's El Nino year?
We're moving out of a La Nina and into an El Nino.
So is
Nobody
that a wet?
quote me on that. I hadn't been watching that closely here lately.
So does that mean it's going to be a wet year?
Hell, dude, I don't know. It's just Spanish for the Nino.
All right, well, the Nino year that's coming up. But regardless, so this is that.
Here's what's happening. It's either going to rain or it isn't.
There you go.
And we're not sure which.
And the weathermen don't
rain
know.
Some days and not some other days.
Yeah, the weathermen don't know.
And I'm pretty sure it's going to rain Saturday of this weekend.
I think it's supposed to.
Beyond that, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think they know. Well, so I have all mine. That's my mix: cereal rye, wheat, crimson clover, radish, hairy vetch. And again, they all have different things they do. Your legumes, that's your nitrogen. Like I say, your hairy vetch is a huge nitrogen builder. There is some guys that actually say they get enough hairy or nitrogen from the hairy vetch to not put any fertilizer or nitrogen in on their corn.
That's crazy.
Which that would be insane if that's true.
Okay, so I'm going to stop you. So why do you like to fly your zone?
All right, so in an ideal year, this did not happen this year, and my cover crops are not going to be very good this year. But what I like to do is I like to have about on soybeans right before the leaves drop, I like to have it flown on. Yeah. On corn, right before I harvest it, I like to have it flown on. So some guys drill them, and I mean, I'd love to drill them, but honestly, for me, it's just a logistics thing. Like,
well, and you're going to be later getting it drilled because you can't run a drill through a standing crop. I mean,
yes, and that's the thing. Like man, flying it on, when I have flown it on before the leaves drop, it comes up great. I mean, this year, like I said, and even actually this year on some fields, it's good. Right. Yeah, it sat out there for 2 weeks without a rain.
Yeah.
But see, and you have a window to fly, and if you fly it on, you have to put down a heavier rate.
Right.
So you got to buy, you're using a little more seed to fly it on. But again, man, just honestly, because you have a deadline with the cover crop. If you're using one of these programs, then you got a deadline you have to meet.
Well, I know, and I asked you that, and I thought that was the answer, but Griggs Farms, we mention on here occasionally, kind of in our
They
area.
have some really good stuff on cover crops.
They're big into cover crops, and Matt was talking about that because they got some kind of huge air seeder that they're getting like demo and
that thing's ungodly looking. Yeah,
but like he was pointing out, they still fly a lot of theirs on because even though they get so much more even stand and better stand by drilling it or air seeding it or whatever you call it, they can fly it on like 3 weeks earlier.
Yeah.
And even with that, so much better, consistent stand is still, time. You can't get back that time. The ground where they fly it on, it's got a head start.
Yeah.
Because it was pretty neat. They were, I watched a video of theirs. They had a field like in town, basically. They're flying it on with a drone.
Yeah.
Because it was the
airplane wouldn't be able to do it there.
Airplanes, it was too much liability because of where it was.
See, and
that's pretty neat.
Yeah, that's one thing. Like there are certain fields that I have that he cannot fly it on. And I mean, honestly, for me, they'll just most likely never be cover cropped. Now we've got that cedar, and I mean, you could sow it with a tractor. I mean, you can sow it, and it just has to be sown.
Well, I've seen some guys, I'm sure you've probably seen it too, will have like it rigged up on a combine.
Yeah.
Where as they're harvesting the one crop, they're spreading the new crop.
Yeah, and that's pretty cool. Which even like Helena, they will spread it with like an air seeder, like on their truck. You can get them to, but now it depends on what you're putting down.
The same thing. I mean, I guess they could run that through a standing bean crop, but nobody's going to do that.
No.
Yeah, you're that close to harvest. You don't want them knocking down any beans.
No, and again, I've had really, really good. I mean, I had a great stand of cover crop last year going right before the leaves fall. And because when they fall, then it covers it up and it'll all come up pretty well. I mean, it just does really good. And so the next part of the cover crop that you get into, one, as a no-tiller, I mean, I'm 99% no-till, and you still get erosion. Like we've got some spots we have no-tilled for 10 years and the ditches are washing like crazy. And so even doing no-till, you've got to have something there growing to hold the ground. And so that's where, man, I really like these cover crops going in there with all the wheat and all this stuff. You got a lot of ground cover and it's just got the roots in there. And it seems to me that it is holding the ground better. Yeah. And so then you get erosion control. You're getting the benefits of the nitrogen going in there. Griggs is a great one because he's done a video I've seen before where he dug up some ground that they've had in cover crops a bunch. And I may have mentioned it on here. One of the signs of like very healthy soil is, and I don't know how many of them I have that are here yet, but I'm only about, this is like my third year into the cover cropping, but you are supposed to be able to dig up some dirt so many layers deep and find certain amount of earthworms everywhere. And that's a sign of like very healthy soil. And Matt, he did a video where he digs up a spot in the field. They got cover crop and it's a bunch of earthworms in there. Yeah. And so that's what you want to see. Because, I mean, an earthworm, dude, I mean, it sounds, this is a crude way of putting it, but I mean, they're going through and they're shitting and pissing in there. And that's great. Yeah. That's great for the soul. Yeah. And so, I mean, if I was that much full of shit and piss, I wish I could just go and do that over all my fields. But, so when I get into planting time, I like to, I kind of did this, and it's the same reason why I don't air seed or drill my cover crop is the same reason I actually tried this planting green is just for the sake of time. I don't have enough manpower to be harvesting and then also trying to plant. And so
a whole other crew, coming behind.
Yep.
Yeah. The combine planting cover crops.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, and I'd love to be able to do that. And maybe one day I will, but right now, I'm just not in that position.
Levi to get a little bigger.
Yeah, I need him to get at least, when he's about 7.
We shouldn't be misogynist. Emerson, too.
Oh, well, and Emerson actually is mad at me for selling the black truck because she said that was going to be her truck. I told her, so I'll get you a pink Peterbilt. We'll trick yours out. But, so.
That's sexist there, too. Why does it have to be pink?
Because she loves pink.
Okay.
Yeah, she chose pink.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, she might want it black and pink.
So she's already chosen her gender?
Yes. Yeah, they have. They've told me their pronouns.
Okay,
yeah.
Well, good.
Yeah, we have that discussion all the time about their pronouns. No, I tell them what I think about. I don't know if we've talked about pronouns. They'd be like, what is that? We have talked about a kid that did paint his fingernails. We had a conversation about that. But I'll tell you that one off air.
So that's really gay.
I actually did tell him that was gay. Yeah. Guys, I'm just maybe not. It's clearly I'm not a politically correct guy, and I'm actually very happy with that.
I mean, we're not saying there's anything wrong with being gay, but I mean that's gay.
It is, yeah. I mean that's just. Well, I'll go back to the late '90s, 2000s when you could say that. Everything was gay actually back then.
Well, I think you can say it now. I mean, some people get their panties in a water.
Yeah. Yeah, and they probably are wearing panties and they're probably a dude wearing panties. They get their panties in the water.
A lot of the gay people I know don't get offended by it. you calling something gay. Like, whatever. Like,
yeah. Well, I tell them that's pretty gay. But anyways,
I mean, if they don't like it, they could choose not to be gay. I mean,
that's true.
Thing. But anyway,
that's true.
Enough of that tangent.
And if you're mad, just quit listening to the show. We got enough people that agree with us to keep on. But it's a side note. I'm trying to, again, on the lack of manpower. So I got into planting green because, man, I just honestly was crunched on time spraying. And so I said, well, I'm just going to try this out. Now, it's worked really well for me, especially this year. Last year, I burned down everything. This year, I burned down all my corn ground because I was kind of warned not to really push it on the corn ground. I may experiment with a little bit of that, but on all my bean ground, I actually only burned down maybe 10% of my bean ground. I planted the rest of it green. And
how soon behind the planter did you come with the burn down?
2 days.
Yeah.
Yep. I would plant for about 2 days, and then I'd come in and spray. And now that's something I got to hone in because I planted some of the last beans that I planted. I figured out they are susceptible to some of the chemical that I put down. And I actually had one field that normally cuts about 50 to 55 bushel. It cut 21 bushel the acre. Now, it's a smaller field. It's about 35 acres. But it cut half of what it normally would. I mean, 20 bushels acre is an absolute disaster. And the beans were terrible. And we're pretty sure it was because of what I was applying, like right before they came up. So I got to tinker with that some. And I mean, I've already been talking with my agronomist, and they're like, "If you're going to do this planting green shit, we're going to have to experiment." And I'm like, I want to do it. And partly why I want to do it is, man, I saw some of the best weed control that I've ever seen. So when I planted green, and I do not have coulters. For people that don't know, that's these things that mount on the front of the planter, in front of your planting units that like basically tear the ground up in front of the planter and allow your blades to get in there. I don't run coulters, and people that I know that plant green, actually a lot of them don't run coulters because they say it's bad about wadding up on there.
Yeah, I can see that.
But I don't run coulters. But I have brand new opening discs on my planter, and I put these aftermarket closing discs that are spiked, and they're actually concaved inwards, whereas the original style are concaved outwards, whatever. But these go in, and so it really pinches that seed trench back together. And dude, I have become a believer on it, and I'm a believer in a red planter. I love John Deere. I'm John Deere to the core. But when it comes to planters, I like a red planter. Man, you can plant through concrete. And I think that's a big thing. If you're wanting to experiment with the planting green thing, man, you better make sure your planter is going to be able to penetrate through that, because where I had oats, I don't terminate them. So when I planted my cover crop, or when I planted my beans into the oats, the oats were like 4 foot tall, and I was just running through them. Now my planter has pneumatic downforce, and I was running like 150 pounds of downforce, and I would get off the planter sometimes and I would check, and there would still be beans on top of the ground in some spots, and I'm like, damn, and so you just got to really, I mean, to be honest with you, you just basically set the depth where you know it ought to be. Check it some, make sure you're getting some at that depth, and then you pretty much got to just forget about it and just trust your equipment. Yeah. And that's what I did. And where I planted into that thick stuff, even when I harvested it, it was still a mat of oats that were just laid down. And when you have that mat there, nothing's coming up. So it did great. I'm actually looking into next year to putting some Yetter crop devastators on the front of my planter, which is a roller crimper attachment that'll mount to the front of the planter, and it roller crimps it right in front of the units. And I
NRCS has a roller crimper you can rent, but the problem with it is you have to plant in the same direction that you roll and crimp it, because if you turn and you try to plant back, then all that stuff's going to be like pushing.
Got to be the same width as your planter.
Yep. And so it's just going to be easier to have it on the planter. So I'm looking at those. Trying to think anything else. Anything else to think of on the cover crop stuff?
So now, and so of course you don't fertilize your cover crop.
No.
So you're trying to use them to help provide your fertilizer for you.
Yep.
So basically, yeah, what you try to do is you fly it on, and I mean, that's it.
Yes.
You kind of forget about it, Yep. Go out there and look at it and see how pretty it is, kind of thing.
Now if I see the hairy vetch, like I said, this is the first year with it, if I can see that it's getting pretty, like if I go out and I'm checking it, because there's a certain time frame you have to terminate it by, or before you can terminate it. Like you can't kill it too early. But if I go and look and the hairy vetch looks like it might be problematic, then I'll smoke its ass. I will burn down the hairy vetch and all that at that point. At the end of the day, as much as I like planting green, I want to make money and make a yield more than anything. And I think part of planting green is helping me, because one of the things that I noticed, the ground that I burned down versus the ground that I planted green, there was almost always more moisture in the green fields than the burned down fields.
Yeah.
And I saw,
makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it holds more moisture. I did have some guys claim that you would see a yield drag on the planted green fields. And if that's so, then I have some bean fields that should average like 80 bushel to the acre. And I just don't think so. So I did not notice a yield drag. And I even did some fields planted green just into weeds. Like I got a field out in Millington that I guess I won't be working next year because it's going to solar panels. And man, I jumped in there and it had pigweed on it, Johnson grass, sage grass, like all kinds of stuff on there. And I just planted straight into it. And then I came in and I put a super hot shot right behind the planter. Man, them beans, that field actually averaged damn near 70 bushel an acre.
When you talk about right behind the planter, came in there with Gramoxone?
No, I came in there with Sharpen, Panther, Roundup, and Fire Zone.
Okay.
The Sharpen and Panther, Sharpen will absolutely, it's scorched earth. Pretty much like mare's tail. I've heard guys say nothing will kill a mare's tail. Sharpen will like melt it to the ground. And the Panther is it's a pre-emerge. And I mean, man, it was pretty hot rate, but those beans did great. That same formula, I think it damn near killed the last beans that I planted. And those were they were a 4.9, just a different brand, different group bean, and that some of them they just can't tolerate it as well.
Yeah.
So it's that's the stuff you got to play with. I mean, it's kind of evolving, and so I don't know. Cover crop is something that I'm really fascinated in. I mean, even if there was no money being given by NRCS, I would still be wanting to do cover crops.
Play the experiment, figure it out.
Yep. So if y'all have any other questions for me on the cover crop, feel free to reach out to me. Message us on Talk Dirt to me. You can message me on Instagram, YouTube, whatever. Contact us at talkdirtpodcast.com on our contact page. And like I said, just don't hesitate to ask me any questions you got. I'd love to try to help you out. I'm learning a lot myself. I'm definitely not even close to being an expert on cover crops, but I'm trying to learn as much as I can. So, there's kind of a rundown on the cover crop side.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I learned even a few things.
Well, there you go. Well, you want to cue up our commander-in-chief?
Well, I guess so. Yeah, that's going to, we hadn't got to our year-end episode where we look back on our goals for this year and for next year.
I'm going to have to go back and listen to that episode to remember what I said.
I might have to too, but I think I did write mine down. But that is one of my goals I'm already going to say for next year is that we have our
on the board here.
We get old Joe on the board, which I guess by the end of next year he might not be our commander-in-chief anymore.
Oh man, that's wishful thinking. Yeah. But I hope you're right.
I'm not sure that I can find it. Okay, there he is. He's in my favorites, of course, because
he is one of your favorites.
Start off with 2 words: made in America.
That's him.
Yeah. Did you say
it's just inspiring?
It is, man, and he says it with purpose.
Yeah.
Made in America.
I mean, 2 words, baby. I mean,
if you yell something, it just sounds like you know what you're talking about. You know, like you say it with authority.
Yeah.
Did you have the company or did I?
No, you got it tonight.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Dang, I got on the cover crop.
Yeah.
We did.
Man, you get Logan talking cover crops, and
I just lose all train of thought on everything else.
he just blacks out.
Yeah, it's like talking about boobs or something, you know. So I feel like quite a few of our listeners are probably deer hunters.
Yeah, probably so.
And you don't even actually have to be a hunter on here. Man, archery is fun for anybody.
You said deer hunters. We didn't have to say homosexual hunters. Yeah, the archery guys.
Yeah, you know. Well, as long as they're using a compound, not a crossbow. Crossbows, I feel like it's when you really get gay.
Or like using like traditional. Like those guys, they love to
show that they're traditional guys. Yeah.
Like, I'm a caveman.
Yeah, like my buddy Brandon, they got to give him shit about his trad bow.
Brent does too, doesn't he?
He's got a trad bow. He'll use it some. Yeah. That's true. Yeah, Brent does.
No, that really is pretty, but it's kind of like, bro, they make these things called rifles.
That's what I say. I'm like, man,
I can reach out and touch one.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. No, Brandon has gotten up to I think he killed one from 10 yards with his trad bow.
I'm sure that is a rush.
Yeah, and that's what his goal is to get. He wants to hear the deer fart before he shoots it.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah. Sorry.
There's the lead up. So Bobby Lee actually noticed. I didn't even realize this. I shoot compound sometimes.
Yeah, I will let it be known because Logan has given me a hard time about being late here lately. I got here and had to wait on him, and so as I'm standing around, I'm looking and I'm like, wow, that's made in the USA.
Yeah. So the block archery target, and I've got the Infinity 6-sided target. It is a great target, and it's made in USA, and it's stamped up on there pretty high, and it's just block brand. And I mean, if you've been in any archery,
they're kind of the
household name
target for archery. I have bow hunted in my life. I've killed a few deer with a bow. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
They're kind of the premier name in archery. Targets for practice. Once I guess if you're shooting at a target, you're practicing.
And they got all kinds of different kind of targets, man. And again, man, it actually would lead me into, and actually this could be a double whammy because I'm an advocate for archery because it's just fun. Even if you don't want to bow hunt, and I'm a Matthews guy. I shoot a Matthews. I got a Halon 32, and Matthews is proudly made in the USA.
There you go.
So you got a double whammy. And if you're here in our area, there's a Matthews dealer at Shelby Forest Archery, and Phil is awesome. And if you go in there, tell him how much you hate Joe Biden, and he'll tell you how much he hates Joe Biden.
I say you could probably go into any, I don't know, you get in some parts of the country and there's some weirdos, but basically you can go anywhere in this part of the country and people hate Joe Biden.
Well, that's true. That is true. But Phil is one of the most militantly haters.
Any outdoor store, firearms for sure, but
well, and see, you can buy a gun there now. He sells guns as well.
FFL.
Yeah. Phil is awesome. Shelby Forest Archery. That's like a triple whammy, man. We gave American so go get you a block made in USA. Buy you a Matthews bow made in USA, and buy it from Phil because he's also a proud American.
Yep.
And you won't go wrong with that.
Yeah, and then of course again for all your
supports your other American company.
That's right, exaga.com. Use the discount code TALKDIRT. Again, free shipping and 10% off. And some of the stuff's already on sale to begin with. But the toys right now, you've got plenty of time. Well, this episode will drop on December the 8th. So what's that? You have 17 days. before Christmas, before Santa Claus comes.
Yep.
Get those toys ordered, dropped off on the front porch, ready to go under the tree. Hey, take advantage of the free shipping on your bail net wrap too. I mean, you're getting 10% off, and you can just about do that anytime with them because they're really good about these deals. But right now, you can also get the free shipping, and that includes big, bulky ass items like bail net wrap. It's a pain in the butt. Even if one of your local stores has some, they might not have the patriotic red, white, and blue. That's the problem I ran into. That's why I started dealing with them.
Yeah.
But two, what's more convenient than them dropping it off right there at the farm shop or on your front porch? Yeah.
There you go.
Use the discount code Talk Dirt.
Yep. All right, guys. Leave us a rating and review. Hit that like button, and we will catch you next week.
Yeah, and remember, you do get the benefits of the nitrogen, but you don't want the hairy bitch to get too big. That's the lesson for this
That is true. You never want you don't want your tree to be the smallest in the forest. And if you trim your bushes, the deck looks bigger.
There you go.
All right, guys. Take care.